The Lord took the sermon I thought I was going to preach. I'm going to preach to me. I'm sure there's something in it for you, or God wouldn't have me preach it. I here this evening watching for people come, people didn't come, a guy leave, and ends up being just a few here, and I stand and I look back at all these empty seats, and it's just us couple here, and I begin to think, and it's just, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's just adding on to what I've been thinking. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? People, since I started here, people have left the church. They didn't want to be here anymore. They have gone. People won't come. We've tried this, we've tried that to get people to come in and to build the church and to do this. And I keep thinking, what am I doing wrong? What is it about me? And listen to me, don't think I'm the only one that does that, because there are singers who I have heard say, we went to this place to sing, and when this one got up, everybody was happy and shouting. But when we got up, they didn't move. They didn't say a word. Even when we were done, they didn't say you sounded good or something like that. I want to tell you something. It's time to die. It's time to die to ourselves. But God will tell you, it ain't about me and it ain't about you. And I know I have preached this before, but God has just shown me something plainer than I have ever seen it before. If I know from the bottom of my heart, I'm preaching the Word of God, and I am doing what God tells me to do. It ain't me they're leaving. It's God that they are leaving. It ain't me that stopped them from coming here tonight. It is their desire to have something else other than God. That's why they're not here tonight. That's why they're somewhere else tonight. I was concerned because the choir didn't come. The guy that's supposed to be preaching tomorrow night, he didn't come tonight. And I was concerned about that, and I got there and sit there and I got to thinking, we got church members that ain't even here.
That's right.
That's right.
Amen.
And I'm going to tell you why a lot of them ain't here. And a lot of them ain't here because something else means more to them than God means to them. Something else means more to them than Jesus means to them. That's why people aren't here. And people will say, well, I've worked all day and I'm tired and this and that. Or there's a good show on tonight. Or I'm going to this event. Or I'm going to that event. I'm going to tell you something. Whatever you get out of what you're doing tonight is a fleeting thing. Whatever you get, the joy may be but for a moment. But what you get when you are obedient to Christ is an eternal thing.
Amen.
That's right.
Bless you, Lord.
And this applies to all of us. And I'm telling you, I've been preaching this, but we need to hear it and hear it good. I've heard people who would say, I did this or I did that because I felt led of the Lord to do it. But they wouldn't receive it. They wouldn't hear it. And it must be me. It ain't me. It's them. It's their rejection of Jesus Christ. I'm going to tell you something. Who is it that draws them in? Somebody that will tickle their ears. Somebody that will entertain them. Somebody that will be their buddy. Somebody that will kiss up to them. And all that kind of stuff. That's who it is that draws them in. Those who are trying to follow Christ. Those who are trying to preach the truth of Christ. Those who are singing, not because they think they're the best musicians in the world or the best singers in the world, but they're singing to glorify God. Or because they felt God has laid a song on them that needs to be sung. Or they speak a word to somebody because it's something that God has put on their heart. That they don't want to receive that.
That's right.
But it's not you that they won't receive.
That's right. That's right.
It's not you that they reject. It's not you that they turn away from. It is God that they are turning away from.
Amen.
But I'm going to tell you something. And if you're honest, you're going to agree with me. It hurts.
It does. You're right.
It
Amen.
hurts.
It does.
It hurts. I'm going to tell you. And I'm being honest with you.
Bless you, Lord.
Touch them, Lord Jesus.
I have cried over people leaving this church.
Amen.
Yes.
I have cried because people won't come. You pray and you work and you do this and you do that and they won't come. How do you think he feels?
That's right.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
It breaks my heart.
That's
I
right.
could cry right now thinking about it.
That's right.
But it ain't me that reject him.
That's right.
So how do you think he feels? And I know it hurts you when you're trying to do what you feel the Lord would have you to do. And it doesn't seem to be received. And they don't want anything to do with it. And they don't give you the acclaim and the applause. They don't give you the recognition. They don't receive what it is that you have to say or do. And it hurts you. And it hurts bad. But how do you think he feels?
Right.
Amen. Amen.
He told one of the old prophets, go and tell my people such and such. And the prophet said, but they won't hear me. They'll reject me. You know what God said to them? It's not you they reject.
Right.
It's me.
Right.
And we sing that song. It'll be worth it after all.
Right.
I know it hurts. I know it's hard. That's the flesh. Because let's be honest, and again, I'm being honest. A lot of my hurt wasn't for Christ.
Right.
It was for me.
Right.
Because when I looked at the empty seats, I felt rejected. When I saw people leave the church, I felt rejected. And I need to die to me
Right.
and have the heart of Christ.
Right.
How does he feel? How does he feel? I can't imagine just knowing what little bit I hurt when things like that happen. Can you imagine how he feels? And honestly, we can't, not to the full degree, but we can't even as much as we possibly could because we have yet to die. And I know, on that day when we were born again, we were born anew, brand new creation in Christ. But I'm going to tell you something. That flesh never went away.
Right.
And that flesh fights, and that flesh battles, and that flesh rises up. And it does what that flesh does. We need to die to that flesh. We need to die to, and we talk about to the cares and the concerns and all this stuff that we have to die to. That's the least of what we have to die to. This, more than anything, we have to die to. You know, Jesus said, if you're going to be my disciple, you've got to take up your cross daily and follow me. What's the cross? It's an instrument of death. And he said we got to do that daily. We have got to die daily. We have got to get our hearts, our mind, ourselves focused and focused and focused to a narrow pinpoint focus. That it doesn't matter how much they reject me. It doesn't matter how much they turn against me. It doesn't matter if they leave. It doesn't matter if they come. It doesn't matter if they go. It doesn't matter if they applaud me. It doesn't matter if they tell me how good I am at what I'm doing. It doesn't matter about any of that. Our pinpoint focus has to be on what is in this for Christ, not what is in this for me.
Amen.
Amen.
Right.
You know, we come together, and I'll again, being honest, leading up to this, praying and seeking God to do a work here, and in my mind envisioning things, and people shouting, and people getting blessed, and people raising their hand, and all these kind of things going on. That's what I wanted to see happen here. How much benefit does that really do a soul in the long run?
Right. That's right. Amen.
It feels good for the moment.
Right.
Maybe the choir didn't come. Maybe that guy left. Maybe Brother David Jr. didn't come, and some others who were supposed to come didn't come. That's the only way God can get through my thick head. To understand. We got this wrong. It's about Him. And I've said that hundreds of times. I've said that. But think about it. Really think about it. We talk about all the blessings of God. And please don't take me wrong. The songs that were sung here tonight, what were they about? What He does for me. What He has done for me. What I'm getting out of it. And they're good songs. It's good to do that. But that's become our whole focus. What do I get out of it? What's in it for me? I need to feel good. I need this and I need that. And He'll supply my needs and this and that and everything else. You know what? We're supposed to be followers of Christ. He said, as they went by the seashore and he saw Peter and Andrew in the boat, he said, come, follow me. And he left everything and followed him. He saw James and John, he said, follow me. It says that they left their boat and they left their father and they followed him. Hey, he goes on and he sees Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom. He's collecting taxes. Probably got a pile of money there. He's an important man. He's a big man in town. And Jesus said, follow me. He left everything. He left the riches of the world. He left the money. He left his position. And he followed Christ. Where did they follow him to? A lot of hardship. A lot of troubles, a lot of trials. You can go through it and you can read it, you probably already know. They left houses, they left lands, they left wives, they left children, they left family, they left everything for Christ. And I'm not standing here and telling you we got to get rid of our houses and our cars and do all that. But we need to lay aside this.
That's right.
We need to lay aside this. And again, talking about following Jesus. If we really follow Jesus and walked in his footsteps, what would those footsteps be like? I don't read in there where he went to meeting and shouted and ran the aisle. I don't read in there where he went and got to feel good. I don't read in there where he got all the glory and the fame and the applause while he was walking the earth and while he was trying to straighten out the religious people. It's not in there. If we're going to walk in his footsteps, you know what he said? And I think the church has forgotten this, and we don't want nothing to do with this. He said that they hate you, they hated me first.
That's right. Amen.
He said they rejected me, and they're going to reject you. And I'm not saying this is 100% true all the time, but I can tell you that one is that is accepted by everybody, that one that is liked by everybody, that one that is praised by everybody must not be doing something right. And I'm not judging, I'm giving you what the Bible said. He said they will hate you. He said they will reject you. If you preach Christ, if you teach Christ, if you live Christ, if you speak Christ, then they are going to reject you. But they're all Christians too. Why would they reject me? You know what else he said? The biggest enemy is going to be those of your own household.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They're supposed to be our brothers and our sisters.
That's right.
They're the ones you're going to have the most trouble with. They're the ones you're going to have the most problems with. They're the ones who are going to reject you the most. But we have got to get to that point. One of the prophets, he told to go and to preach to them, and they are going to reject you, and they're going to speak against you, and they're going to say all these things against you. But he said, I will make your forehead as brass. You know what he meant by that? It ain't going to hurt you. It ain't going to harm you. And if you keep your focus on me, it ain't going to bother you. It ain't going to do anything. And we have got to get like that. We have got to get a hard head. Some folks already got it, but that's not what I'm talking about. But we have got to set ourselves like flint. And understand, I would love this to be filled. I would love to be so full we had to put chairs out there and people hear the Word of God. I would love that. But more than anything else, there's songs pop in my head sometimes when I'm thinking of these. I want my Lord to be satisfied with me.
Amen. That's right.
I mean, the reason everything happened the way it did tonight, because God had to get through to me. Because God had to get a hold of me and make me understand. They're not rejecting me. They're rejecting him.
Right.
They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting him. And again, I say it a lot, over and over and over again. It ain't about us, but we've made it about us. Even when we don't think we made it about us, we made it about us. Even when we don't think we're doing it, we're doing it. Think, and again, you think of times when your brothers and sisters have hurt you, rejected you, talked about you, put you down, whatever the case may be. You think about how bad that hurts your heart. Maybe you did cry. Maybe you just felt like throwing in the towel and giving up. If that's the way it's going to be, fine, I'm done. Then I want you to try to understand. What does that do to the heart of Christ? There's a song. Does he still feel the nails? Every time I fail. But does he still feel the nails? Does he still feel the spear? Does he still feel the lash on his back? Does he still hear the mocking? Every time they reject him. Even up on that cross, even to that cross, even unto death, they rejected him. Think of how he feels. We are but servants. We have no right to expect anything. And I know we live in a church world and a society where we've been taught to think that Christians get it all. Christians get everything. They don't have to go through anything. They don't have to be sick. They don't have to be down. They don't have to be poor. They don't have to suffer this and they don't have to suffer that. I'm going to tell you something, that's a lie.
Right, amen.
That's right.
That is a lie.
Absolutely.
There are those who will say, when sickness is coming upon you, don't receive it. You ain't got no choice.
That's right,
That's right.
amen.
That's right. You think because you're a born-again child of God, you can speak to your finances. And tomorrow your bank account's going to be this big. They think whatsoever we say, well, if we speak the word, it's ours. That's a lie.
That's
right.
And the church has
Amen.
been led to believe that. And when the church has to suffer, and when the church has to hurt, and when the church has to go through anything, then they blame it on God because they've been taught God is supposed to take care of that. God is supposed to give you this. God is supposed to do that. That's not what Jesus said. He said you will suffer. You will have tribulation. You
right.
will have trial.
Yes.
You will have trouble. You
Right.
will go through it. He said the world will hate you. The world will reject you. There's coming a time, and that time is now, when the world would rather see you dead than to hear about Jesus Christ. There's coming a time, and that time is now, when they would rather lock you up than hear about Jesus Christ. I want to ask you a question, and the next person that tells you all that foolishness, you can ask them this. If that's the case, how come Muslims are cutting the heads off of Christians? The Christian puts his head on the block, and the sword comes down, and he says, I will not receive it. And the sword bounces off, right? He said, follow me.
Right,
Where did he go? To death.
that's right.
Follow me. Where did he go? To trouble. Especially from the religious world.
That's right. Exactly. Amen.
Even those. There was a case, you remember the case where the multitude followed him and wanted to make him king? Do you remember why? Because he gave him something to eat. He pleased the flesh.
Right.
That's the church today.
Yep.
And again, even when we don't think we're doing it, we're doing it.
That's right.
Our worries, our concern, our focus is everywhere, but where it ought to be. We got to have that pinpoint, laser-like focus on Christ. Listen. The book of John, chapter 12, verse 24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall on the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it. He that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me. Listen. He's talking about people who would follow him. What about the people who would follow him? He says about those people, except you fall in the ground and die, you are alone. We must die. Otherwise, we can bring forth no fruit for Christ. We can bring forth nothing for Christ. If we don't do that, it is all about us. We are